Hey sis.
Hey sister circle.
I'm your big sis April.
And I'm your little sis Tiffany. And we are Sister Talk Network Podcast.
Sisters bridging the generational gap while encouraging candid conversations
and healing amongst women, friends, and sisters. You have a sister now. Hey sis. Hey sister circle.
We are back for another day. Thank you for joining us. Yes. I am your big sis April.
And I'm your little sis Tiffany.
And we are Sister Talk Network's podcast. Thank you for joining us again. I am going to go to one of our inspirational cards. Let's see what we got for today to uplift, inspire, all of the things. Make it something good, make it something good, make it something good. Ooh, that's a good one. It says, I am the author of my story. Oh, wow. So we are taking power and authority over everything that has come against us. And along with God, who is the ultimate author, we are in sync, in line, and taking authority over our story. And it will have a good end. So sisters, you are the author over your story along with God. So that was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, okay. I like that. With the cards. Like that. With the cards.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I saw actually online. It was a sermon that I was listening to, and it was talking about, the topic was buried or planted. Mm-hmm. And it was so good. I can't even remember who it was because it wasn't like a famous preacher. I'm gonna have to circle back to try to see who it was, and just talking about how like everything the enemy meant against us, how God turns it around for our good. And of course it made me go back to our story and just thinking about how the enemy really thought that he had both of us buried. By separating us, he really thought that we were buried, we were done, that we would never see the goodness of God. None of the things that God had for us would ever come to fruition. He thought it was over, not knowing that we were seed in the ground. Like all of that time, we were literally seed in the ground for such a time as this. And it literally blew my mind. So I'm like, we need to circle back and just talk about that a little bit more. Because he's defeated. Like just all of the power that we thought we lost, it was always there, always inside of us, always ready to flourish and grow. And we were planted here on earth. Like God planted us here, you know, and just the knowledge and understanding that he planted us here and that no weapon formed against us could prosper, or
you say it, but you don't really understand.
Right.
Like, I know I'm the type of person when the minute something happened, I'm like, oh God. But giving the enemy too much credit.
Yeah, we actually did. And not only so much giving him too much credit, not giving ourselves and our God enough credit. So like while he thought it was our burial, it was actually seed in the ground for our introduction to who God really says we are and who we are. So it was one of those run around the room.
Oh yeah, the legs start tingling and you're like, oh my God.
You're just running around the room. And I was listening to my church on Sunday. My pastor wasn't preaching, they had a guest speaker, and she gave an example of, it was just a parable. And in this parable, a farmer had a donkey. The donkey fell in a well. And he couldn't get the donkey out. So it's like, okay, I can't get this donkey out. This donkey is hollering. So we just going to bury it. We just going to bury this donkey. And he kept putting dirt in on the donkey. But instead of the donkey just allowing the dirt to bury him, every time they put dirt in, like he stood up, he shook it off, and he took a step up.
Okay.
So as they continue to put that dirt in the ground, it continued to bring him up until he was able to come out of that well. Okay. So although the enemy intended to bury us, God was just using that soil to bring us out. So
and show God was showing who he really is.
Yeah.
Through all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, there's no storm trial, turmoil that we can face in this earth that will take us out as long as we're anchored to God.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot. Like when I think back over all of my experiences, our experiences, those really dark times that it felt like I'm just not going to make it, not realizing that we were soil and a seed in the ground, basically.
Yeah. I remember times I like literally was like walking away, like not wanting to follow what God instructed me to do, and He still covered me, like through all of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we don't even realize how much He covers during those times, and it takes me back to the scripture that I referenced that God gave me when I was getting ready to go into one of the darkest seasons of my life, and it was the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I come that you may have life and have it to the full. And when he originally gave me that scripture, if I'm honest, and I think I've shared this with our sisters before, it was a warning because I was getting ready to go into something that I had no business going into, but I did it anyway. But when I listened to this sermon and just recently, as I was pondering more about it, he gave me that scripture in a different way, in a revelation that although the thief came to kill, steal, and destroy, he came that we may have life and have it to the full. So that goes back to what you just said. Like, although I still allowed myself to get into all of that, although I was completely buried in bondage, all those chains, like you talked about before, he still had a plan to give me life and life to the full. So y'all listen, it ain't never over.
No, it ain't over till it's over.
Yeah, it ain't over until God says it's over. And the reality is we have the power. Let life and death in our tongues.
Yeah.
And we talked about that before, and not really understanding to the full what the manifestation of our words and our posture can do.
Yeah, as long as we don't give up.
Right. No, we don't have a choice of giving up, y'all. We can't give up. We
Even
can't
sometimes
give up.
when you give up, because there was plenty of times where I was just like, I give up, and God said, no, you don't. No, you're not. We're not done.
Yeah, and it's just like we have to, like we said before, you have to meet him somewhere. You know, like you said, he won't let you give up, first off, which is a beautiful thing. And then having that girl get up moment.
Yeah.
I shared that yesterday in our group. So if you're not in our group, make sure you go in and join. Let's Talk Sis. We'll share it at the bottom of the screen at the end. But that video that you did, isn't that Sarah Jakes, right? Girl, get up. You're the woman for the job. Yeah. You got this, you know, so like
so good.
We really feel like a lot of times we just can't. We can't do it. We can't get up. Where do we begin? But God covers us during those times where he always has a plan.
Like how I make the running joke of like how they talk about the footprints in the sand and being carried. I'm like, God didn't always carry me. Sometimes he was holding me by my collar and dragging me along, saying like, kicking and screaming, like you gonna get this one way or the other. You gonna let me carry you, or I'm gonna drag you through this. But just never giving up, even when I gave up on myself.
Because he's gonna get us to that desired end, no matter what. And I think it was T.D. Jakes who did say that. Being buried and being planted looks the same. Because you're still going under the dirt, like no matter what.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you're still there, but a burial is clearly a death. That's what happens when somebody dies. But when you're planted, you view that differently. And that's what we have to think about, sisters. It's like when you're in that really sunken place, that low place, that dark place, and we feel like I just can't make any headway, I can't do anything. Changing that perspective and seeing yourself as, okay, what's the lesson? Like we talked about before. Why am I here in this place? What does God want from this? Because when you buried, you're done. When something is planted, we take care of that soil because we want that plant to grow. So we water it, we fertilize it, we look at it, what's happening, you know?
I remember one of my girlfriends talks about that. I can't wait to have her on here. But she talks about, every time I would call her with something, she was like, I'm hearing the problem with what's the solution? Because we're not going to sit up here and just keep talking about the problem all day
yeah.
long. What's the solution? How are we going to fix it?
Yeah, because nothing changes. So in that, if we stay in that mindset, then yeah, we are buried.
Like doing nothing is still a choice.
Yeah.
So what we doing?
Yeah, that's so true. So what's the expectation? What do we want to come from this?
Yeah.
So okay, that's our challenge for us and for our sisters. Like looking at something in our lives that may not be in the best position. You know, is it something that we're struggling with? Is it an area in our life where we just feel darkness? Is it depression, anxiety? Is it, fear? Is it all the things that we talked about before? And for some people, it looks different. And making a decision. Am I just going to allow this thing to bury me? Yeah. Or am I going to use it as seed for something else? Yeah. Just like God allowed us to use our issues for seed. For me and you, anxiety, depression. For me, it was fear. Using it as seed for this platform, which I never would have thought,
Like, you want me to say what?
Yeah. Like, not even feeling like I had it in me, but just rejoicing when I think about it in a way of him really working all things together for the good. And realizing that all of that time, I really was planted. Yeah. And sometimes when we think about being planted, sometimes you're planted for your protection. Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole different spin on it or story because God knows the traps that the enemy has, and that's where that scripture comes again. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but I come that you may have life and have it to the full. So sometimes he has to plant you for your protection. It may be that closed door. It may be that no. It may be that heartbreak. That breakup.
Or those friends that you ain't supposed to be friends with, or that group that you trying to fit in with that you don't belong there. And he's just like, no. I'm gonna make it sure that you're buried so they don't see your gifts. So they don't even want you here.
Right. That's good. That's good.
I've definitely been buried for my protection. God, yeah.
And you wondering why don't I fit in?
Yeah, why don't they like me? Because they really can't see you. How many times I felt unseen? Wow. Buried you within your own family members so that they didn't see you, because if they saw your gifts, they were going to stop the growth because they didn't understand the gift. And it's who talks about that? Michael Todd talks about that. I ain't know it was him, and I'm so like, but he talked about that.
That's a good one.
About just being hidden, where you trying to figure out why does this person doesn't like you, or why don't fit here. It's like, you're not supposed to. Yeah. Like, your gifts aren't meant for everybody, and you can't share everything with everybody. Yeah. He's like, you want to go around talk about, oh, God told me this and God showed me that. He was like, you need to shut up. Like, you
actually need to show up.
Yeah. He's like, you need to shut up. Like, you just need to stop talking. He was like, because the same ears that you're trying to say your gift with, they're out to destroy it.
Oh, so you're giving them seed basically to use against you in that sense. I want to circle back to what you said, because it was so good about hiding you in a way where your gifts are hidden because they would have been shut down or stunted or don't do that, don't say that. And I totally get that, because when people don't understand things, it's not familiar to them. Yeah. It's like, oh no, this can't be real because we know all things.
Right.
And you don't know what you're talking about. So don't do that.
Or even like, I think age for me played a big part of it, because in some ways my gifts were older than what I was. So like, where somebody took 10, 15 years to be able to elaborate on certain stuff that they were seeing, I was automatically gifted with it. Okay. And not understanding that that's what it was. So I was shut down with some of the people that I shared it with, because they didn't understand Or you know what? No, they understood. And because I'm trying to sugarcoat y'all, and I swore I wasn't going to sugarcoat.
We're not sugarcoating no more,
I'm going to say this nicely. But it was kind of almost like, how dare God give somebody who's 8 a gift where I've been cultivating it for 40 years. And I had no control over what God gave me.
Yeah.
I didn't want what God gave me.
Right.
So it was just like, how do you compete with somebody at 8 when you're really not even trying to compete? You're trying to just figure out what this is.
But they're trying to shut you down.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Because they feel like it's a competition.
Clearly. So in thinking back to that, because of being kids or even being adults, but like more so being kids, if it's just like a kid that goes to their parent, it's like, mommy, look what I got. Look at my dress. And if that person, that adult or whoever it is says, oh, it's okay. You kind of like shrink back. So I'm not going to talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
So the enemy used that to try to bury you. And no, we just going to hide these gifts. We not going to, nope, it's not exist. Make you think you're crazy. No, maybe I really don't have, maybe I'm not really hearing, seeing. Maybe I'm just crazy all along. But God knew that it was going to all come full circle. And I just want to offer you some encouragement in saying that I had somebody tell me, like, just, I've been honest that I've been on this healing journey for the last, say, 2.5 years. And I had somebody say to me, who was also has a beautiful gift, cultivated gift, that, oh, you're so much further along than I was at your age. And it was almost like hard for them to accept because, again, people feel like, how dare you just only be on this healing journey for 2 years and think that you're here? No, I don't think anything. Like, anything that I say or I do is because it's God inspired. If I'm not sure, I'm not going to say anything. But they recognized it because it was something that only God would be able to tell me. But being careful not to allow anyone to stop what God is doing in you. And even if they don't receive it, and we talked about this a little while back on another episode, even if they don't receive it, so what? Because this is your time to walk in your gifts.
Yeah, when you said that, I got chills because there's this thing with like gardening. And when you said that, they might be comparing from the outside looking in, but they don't know how long you were buried.
Yeah.
They don't know how long you were nurtured underneath the ground versus they sprouted early, but still couldn't catch up. And that's why, like, there's a lot of times where, like, my rose garden, I had this one like rare bush that I made a post about it. I had to do it on our sister's page, but it reminds me of Hawaii because like the amount of colors that are in it. But it took forever to grow because it was rare. Meanwhile, my red bushes, they just came right up. But you can find a red bush anywhere. You can find a certain gift or a certain thing anywhere, especially if you're trying to be a carbon copy of something else versus you being authentic. So my authentic rose, my one that was my favorite, that was rare, it went through a whole season of looking like it was like this small versus my red bush then shed it, came back, shed it, came back. But when it finally did grow, it's literally the bush that you literally walk outside and you're like, oh my God, you don't even notice that red bush is over there because now it's had 2 seasons where now it's higher than any other bush to where we're cutting them off and putting them in the house because it's growing at such a astounding rate now.
Wow, that's
awesome. But it took, because it was growing underneath the soil first. And the roots are much bigger when it's been planted for a long time.
Oh, that's good, sis. Yo, I'm gonna have to come get me some of those roses and cut them when they bloom again.
Yes, they still
put them in my kitchen. Oh, I'm gonna have to go.
That one is still out there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they still out there. The weather's been tricky, so it's still still out there.
I'm gonna go get some. But while you were talking, it made me think about a plant. Like if you think if something blooms too soon, you think in the fall, or not fall, spring, if something blooms too soon before that last frost, then the frost just kills it. Yeah. So I do also believe, when we were talking about people saying, or people cultivating gifts for so long and they're not where they need to be. A lot of people do bloom too soon. And it's like, you don't really know what to do with those gifts because you weren't buried and planted and pruned like you prune your rose bushes. Yeah. You don't know what to do with those gifts. So like you said, I think it was last week or week before, if God put something on your heart, you just run tell that. Yeah. Like, you don't know if you're supposed to pray about it, if God wants you to do nothing, or if he wants you to go tell that person. And if you haven't been cultivated and planted and pruned in a way to do things in love, and it comes across as judgment, being mean, being condescending, that's not of God either. Yeah. So I never really understood the importance of being planted, but you just gave me like a whole different
I was like,
outlook on it. That is so good. The longer you're planted, the deeper the roots are. That soil is being cultivated, it's being fertilized. And then when you finally bloom,
where everybody else can see it. Yeah. Like now everybody else can see it because they weren't seeing what was done underneath. Right. And I was pissed when I got that rose bush. And I'm like,
you like, what's wrong with this?
Taking so long? I was like, it's broken. Take it, dig it up and take it back.
Wow.
Because I couldn't see what was going on underneath that ground. Yeah. And then when it finally did come out, I was like, oh.
That's good.
Snap. And not only did it do, it's right at the bottom of the deck steps.
Okay.
Not only did it plant, it multiplied.
Oh, that's the one that you said was kind of jumping.
It wind up going to the other side, and Jesus, I got to put this cup down. Because I never understood we talking about the rose garden, but it's not the rose garden, it's the spiritual resemblance that it has with that. That rose, I have a picture of it because I was like, what is it doing? And Warren was like, you never watched the Magic School Bus? And I'm like, you did, I didn't. But it talked... that same rose bush, we planted a purple one behind it, but it was having trouble blossoming. I didn't know roses and plants do this. That rare rose started reaching out its bush to its branch to the other one, and it was transferring nutrients to the other one. Wow. So this is my rare one. My rare bush ain't doing that. But it started reaching out to the other flowers and giving it nurturants to go towards that whole. So the one that purple one that was dead, same season was sprouting back up. And then that same rare one split, went underneath the deck and planted on the other side. And I'm just like, oh God. Ooh. Oh God. So you go ahead and sprout too early, but you're not going to be no good to nobody else.
No. And that's what it's really all about. Yeah. Being good to somebody else.
Yeah.
Being good to somebody else.
So worried about being seen. Yeah. And trying to sprout early so you can show how pretty you are. And all you gonna do is be pretty and cute.
Yeah. And it's no depth.
No.
No depth. No inspiration to anyone. No means to help anyone for their growth. Whew, that's good, girl. And as you were talking, I was just having this thought about, like, when you talked about the rose bush, the rare one that went down in the ground and like fed nourishment to the other plant. It's just a reminder for me that, like, okay, now that we're in this season of blooming, blossoming, that the ground is pregnant with a whole lot of stuff.
It's pregnant. I'm not.
Yeah. Let's make that clear. Let's make that clear, y'all. Jesus. But it is pregnant with a whole lot of stuff that we may or may not have forgotten about. Yeah. And it's time for us, like I think you mentioned it before, it's time for us to go back and get all of those things that were buried or appear to be buried, but they are planted as seed in the ground. We're going to make a list.
Give us energy to do it.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. Lord. It's a lot. So we're going to do that too. And sisters, if you want to join us, let's think of those things and let's make a note. Let's get our journals out of those things, those promises, people
Yeah.
that appear to be buried that we need to go back and get.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that.
Yeah, there's some people I don't feel like dealing with. I just seen like a whole list, like just scroll through. Like you know the ending credits and they be scrolling up. You be like, can we take this one on?
Yeah, because we all want to.
Like, I don't feel like doing it.
But oh God, I was just reminded of something. And I can't remember the exact verbiage that was given, but when I began my healing journey and I was talking to someone and they asked me to make 2 lists. The first list was people that I felt like were assigned to me. The second list was people that I felt were hindering me or against me for some reason. And they told me, and God is just reminding me this now, that both of those lists were going to become one. So those people that I felt like were hindering me are moving to that assigned list in this moment.
Glad it's not my list.
So I don't even know what that looks like. I'm almost afraid to pull that book out.
I'm gonna wait until after this episode is over before I be like, is so-and-so on that list? You gonna do that one by yourself. Because I got one person that might be on that list where I'm just like,
it is the most unlikely people. And I mean, I'll talk to you about it later. Like some things, of course, we can't share to protect certain people.
Yes.
And, you know, but some, the most unlikely people that you would ever imagine. But for God to remind me of that in this moment, I know I have to be obedient.
Need nicknames for people now. So I can say it and y'all know what I'm talking about. Because,
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I want to end with something for our sisters that when I initially started looking at this subject, it was something that I read that was really good. And it says, when a seed is planted, it has to spend some time underneath the soil in a dark place. It then breaks open from the roots or for the roots to begin to take hold of the soil, creating a strong foundation. So to my sisters, my sister, if you're going through a season of growing pains, please know that God is not going to let you break. He's in the soil just as much as the growth. So as we are growing, we are healing, we are evolving. He is in it all.
He's in the, oh God, he in the manure.
Yeah.
Just as much as he's there. I said that's so good, y'all. I'm getting so much better.
She is with them words, that language. But the manure is fertilizer. So, it's fertilizer. All the crap.
But it stink though.
Yeah.
You be like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. But it's fertilizer for times like this. You know, when you think about it,
there's some stuff you don't even want to grow because it's like, I got to put some crap in my backyard. I don't even want to, like, I don't want to smell it. I don't want to.
It's just like, never mind.
Yeah. One wants to do a greenhouse in the backyard. Which vegetables? What you got to put back there?
Yeah, because you do have to put a lot of things to prevent animals, bugs,
just
stuff like from getting to
the process. And if you really feel like going through that process,
it's a lot. But it's almost like we don't have a choice. If we want to heal, if we want to grow, if we want to evolve into the best versions of ourselves, we have no choice but to go through the crap,
the ugly side of healing,
and sitting in it for a minute to become what we need to be. So that's about it. I guess we should end with our question.
Yes, what does sisterhood mean to
me? I don't even, this word does not even really apply, but it's beautiful. And I guess it's just the beauty in our brokenness and becoming what God wants us to be. And the fact that we can rely on each other, we can be transparent, have those transparency moments, which is a beautiful thing. Like just yesterday, I shared something in our private page. So again, join about me, like having a moment of transparency with my sisters and where I was and the growth in me being able to realize the why. Where before it would totally ruin my day, like not understanding why. So just the beauty in that and being vulnerable enough to share and not being judged and being accepted and being able to be a blessing to someone else. So beautiful. What does sisterhood mean to you, sis?
I gotta do the opposite.
Okay.
Because we talking about manure. So, yeah. Because I think when we're sitting in the crap, we tend to not want to get the smell on anybody else. I don't want my sister to have to smell the I'm going through. So I'll bury myself. And there's a difference between God burying us for his purpose and us burying ourselves in a time where he's purposely gave us people to be around, which is our sister circle. And that was like I go into a ball where it's just like, okay, let me deal with this and then I'll come back later because I don't want the crack getting on anybody else. So I would just say like, just me getting out of that.
That's good. I see you do that. And it's like almost like, oh, she'll be back in a minute, y'all.
Like I'm really going through it. Like, it's hard. But I've tried to get better with explaining at least like what's happening.
Yeah, I'm going to
or like stuff right that now. Like I can't deal with this right now. And like taking a minute, like how we talked about certain stuff that I have to address or you've advised me to address. And just being like, okay, doing the checking in with me and saying, okay, what's the cost of doing this? And do I have the ability to do that right now?
Right.
And it's like, okay, no, I don't have the ability to do right now. I got to come back to this.
Yeah. And knowing that God will give you the grace for that time or not. He may say no. So that's why I always advise you in those situations to pray about it. Because although I may be saying, I think this is what you should do, God may say something different because he ultimately knows what the desired end is. So it's not no man's word is the final say. It's God.
And I would say pay attention to your body because like I have eczema. So my eczema gets triggered when my anxiety heightens and I didn't know that. So like just paying attention to my body and what's going on. If you break out in hives, rashes, your hair start falling out, start looking at your body and start looking at the circumstances that you're around and figuring it out.
Those are all stressors. Anxiety definitely flares up eczema, all of those things. So that's good. That's good. But I encourage you to, even during those times, to even if you take a minute, not a long minute, have that girl get up moment and just talk to somebody about it. Like, this is where I am. Even can you say a prayer for me? You know, like some of my girlfriends, it's just a text. Can you say a quick prayer for me? Because, and you don't even have to say the details of the why. I'm struggling with something right now. Can you bring me before God? Because what happens otherwise, sisters in our sister circle, is people just assume you're okay. And or they know, okay, well, something is off, but I don't really know what it is, so I'm not going to pry. I'm just going to leave it alone. So, no being, no going in this cocoon. Like I can't even get the word out. So we're not doing that. Yeah, but know what? Stop saying you're trying. Yeah,
but no, I do.
Submit it to God.
I do. Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay. But like, I do ask God for like help on like how to communicate that.
Yeah. Submit it to God, but you're just so used to doing everything on your own and in your own strength. Where like I'm the opposite, and it's so strange because it's like we've almost reversed roles, which is so strange. Because I would never get on social media and share a vulnerable moment on a video. You know, like look at a mess. I don't even care. but it is freeing in such a way that
I'm glad you tried it, because I literally would be folding clothes. I did. Matter of fact, I gotta find that video. I think I did. I think I posted it. The one where I was snotting and crying because I was listening to Sarah Jake's book.
yes.
And I was folding clothes, and I'm like, I gotta just tell y'all. I just tell y'all this. No edges. Edges wasn't done. Yeah. Scarf on, like a really raw moment of God met me here, so I'm gonna share it.
And it's so important for our sisters to see you're not alone, because the enemy tormented us for so long with that isolation that, oh, you getting all this. All this. I'm telling it all.
Yeah.
Like, what God allows me to.
I'm absolutely not. Before I leave this earth, I'm telling it all. Yeah. Like, I might do a who is that? I might do a Britney Spears and write a book.
Nothing wrong with that.
Listen, but I just love, like, I haven't read the book because I know I'm gonna cry because I was a fan.
Okay.
But just being like, look at how everything comes to the surface. So if you think you got away with anything, oh no, it's gonna come out. But everybody's like, well, why now? Because that's the timing that God wanted it to come out.
It's good because she's no longer buried. She's planted. She was planted. Now she's blooming. And the same with us. We are no longer buried in the enemy's plan. We were planted and we are blooming. So, sisters, the same for you. Like, whatever you find yourself in that dark season, know that God is with you in that soil and you will come out. Change your posture and look at yourself as planted instead of buried. Feed that soil, feed your soul, whether it be devotionals, meditation, walks, anything that you can do to lift your spirits and let God meet you where you are, and you will absolutely see the difference and a change.
Yes, like even if you go on YouTube, like I started on YouTube, like doing them workout videos. Do a 15-minute workout video, even if you don't get through it. Like the marking your progress too. That was a big one for us. Like just going back, especially if you, like how you said journaling. Like journaling, there's so many moments where you just like, wait a minute, I wrote that somewhere.
I know that was there. Let me find it.
Listen, I know I'm not crazy. I wrote this down, but just going back, how many journals you up to now?
I don't even know. They're in a drawer. They are in a drawer. It's like different things, different seasons.
That's funny. There. That's one of our running jokes because God told me how many books she had, but I had no clue how many. So God said you and all your notebooks. I was like, how many notebooks you got?
A lot of notebooks. Well, that's because, sisters, y'all know, or you may not know that I was always the structured one. Yeah. Like I have to have a book for each separate thing because I can't write in the same book about my workout journey, my spiritual journey, my mental health journey. So it's like you have all of these books for what? When it's all your wholeness.
I would literally put like a little memo at the top of what it was that was on that page and just keep going.
That's how it should be. Like, instead of taking the time to do all of that.
I mean, when you organize, when somebody do find your memoir, they're gonna
be able to put it all together. Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4,
organize and color code it.
Yeah, but that's me. I am changing though, in a way. I don't think I'll ever be like a totally free spirit.
No, that ain't you.
No, that ain't me.
That ain't you. It balances itself out. Yeah. You organize, you keep me organized, and I keep you a little bit free spirited. So it worked out.
A little bit of both. You're right. So, okay, I guess we're going to end there. Yes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with a sister friend.
Yes, go on that Let's Talk Sis. Yes. It's going to be right here.
Yes, on our private Facebook group, Let's Talk Sis. Send us a request to join. Yes. We are there to uplift, inspire. We are growing, evolving, and healing together. Yes. And we will become a community of women that are healing in such a way that it becomes a movement.
Yes.
So we want you all to have a good rest of your day, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
You.